Hello everybody, and we are here for the first vlog for Gamenightathon. So Gamenightathon is a readathon that I host, and I will have the announcement video linked up above because I'm starting this clip a little bit early. So it is the 29th of June. I just want to find out like what my first read is going to be. For July, so I haven't actually prepared anything because I'm a chronic procrastinator, so I don't have my board printed out yet, and so I cannot do the roll like physically yet, and I also like my printer is really bad with color, so I don't want to do it printing it here on my home printer. So I have to wait until the 2nd of July when I'm in the office again. So I am going to be just doing this digitally today. So I am going to cut a, what do you call that? Dice roll. I need a dice roller. I also have my trusty cat with me here now. So this is the dice roller, which is why is the glare here. I am hoping is clear enough for use. It's currently on 5. Where's the roll button? Roll. Alright, landed on something. 3. So I have to choose between the number 3 prompts. So the number 3 prompts are outside of my comfort zone for the black one, 5-star prediction for the yellow one, and genre blend for the white one. Okay, hate this for me already. So and what I can choose between is a 2-space cluster for the white one, a 3-space cluster for the yellow one, and a 4-space cluster for the black one. The black one is the one that I would need to combine with like the star prompt, which is an evil protagonist. So it would have to be an evil protagonist outside of my comfort zone, which would already mean no you know, like no fantasy. So it would have to be sci-fi, for example, which I don't read a ton of, and I do have one sci-fi on my shelves, but I don't think that that will, I mean, I don't know. The principle of moments. But that is genre blend. That could actually be genre blend, and I mean, it doesn't combine it with my evil protagonist stuff. A century-spanning space fantasy novel that will take you on a whirlwind adventure from a Regency-era love affair between a time traveler and a prince waiting for him in the past, to a rescue mission in the 16th century where a girl desperately races against time as she searches for the sister the Emperor stole. I don't see any sort of an indication here that this one is, you know, like features an evil character. Except if maybe the author also wrote like a review. Yeah, I don't really know whether that is going to be the case that is in there. But this could be like a genre blend because it's a sci-fantasy. What else do I have? Poison Song? Oh yeah, Poison Song was going... Yeah, but Poison Song is not outside of my comfort zone. So it cannot count for the black prompt, so I should be using like one of my other ones, the white prompt, but like that is way too big for the white prompt because the white prompt just needs to be 200 pages. So 5-star prediction, that could probably become like the easiest prompt at this point in time. That needs to be a 300-page book. But do I have something for that? No, I don't. I hate this prompt. An out of my comfort zone 400-page book. I mean, that's going to be what we need to do, right? So it cannot be on my physical TBR then, because I don't have anything on my physical TBR that is outside of my comfort zone. Yay for me. Except for then the principle of moments, which we've just discussed is like, it doesn't have that evil protagonist, so I cannot count it. So outside of my comfort zone with an evil protagonist, I could reread Perfume because I hated that book the first, like I didn't hate it, but I didn't like this book, but it has intrigued me to find out if I would like it if I read it again at this point in time. So that could work for it. It has that evil protagonist. How long is that? I am already on Goodreads, so I can just check it here. Perfume by Patrick Suskind is... Why does it not say? But what about... I cannot find that on the Goodreads site, right? If I look up Parfum, just to get the Hutparfum, to get the Dutch edition, which is just about the same. Okay, so no. 400 pages. Like, fantasy lends itself perfectly to an evil protagonist. But I mean, there must be sci-fi books as well like that, right? Sci-fi evil protagonists. So I'm guessing the conclusion here is, welcome to this vlog, and I am having a hard time figuring out what I will be reading. Alright, I think I found a solution. It's not like fully outside of my comfort zone, but let's say it's enough. I indicated if there is any reason for hesitation, anything that makes you hesitate to pick this one up, then this is probably the best book that applies to that, because if it weren't for the fact that I bought this book in a library sale where it was just like €1 per book, I would not have bought it, because this is an author from which I have read 2 5 stars, absolute favorite books, because of the nostalgia I have for the movies. Would I have loved them as much without that? Who knows? And then I've read other works, and other works by him have either been like meh, or I've enjoyed some of them, or I've really disliked some of them. And especially the last book by him that I read, I really severely disliked, because it was a book that denied climate change. And so my opinion about this author is like all over the place. This is technically a sci-fi book, but it is also a book that uses a trope that I really like. So we'll have to see. But aside from that as well, this is the Dutch version of the book. And I don't tend to enjoy reading in Dutch. So I feel like there are enough elements that place it outside of my comfort zone for me to say that this absolutely fits. It is a little bit on the longer side. This is Timeline by Michael Crichton. So Michael Crichton is the author of Jurassic Park. So Jurassic Park and its sequel are the 2 books that I gave 5 stars from by him. I do think I also really enjoyed, like, he has like a sci-fi that is about like these very sort of like small robots or AI sort of like deals that kind of invades the lab and stuff like that. I really don't remember which one that was. That one I really enjoyed. I was meh about Congo, definitely very meh to mid about Dragon Teeth. Didn't like the Andromeda Strain, absolutely despised The State of Fear. And so Timeline at this point in time is a big, I have no idea whether I'm going to enjoy this book or not. This is a time travel novel, as the title kind of implies. So it says it starts at the beginning of the 21st century. Technology has taken a huge leap forward. Quantum mechanics rule the world, and the possibilities seem endless. 3 young historici, how do you say that in English? History students or history teachers or whatever, travel back to 14th century Dordogne, where the 100-year war is raging. Unfortunately, soon it turns out that modern technology has far from perfected everything. So, time travel novel, absolutely adored them. Michael Crichton, have had absolutely amazing experiences, but as I indicated, I've had really bad experiences with him as well, and this is a Dutch novel. This is over 400 pages, which works perfectly for the... oh, fuck! I'm supposed to follow the evil protagonist! This is not gonna be an evil protagonist, right? Unless it's a climate change denier. Ah! Alright, back yet again, but I do think I have my book now. So if I'm gonna look for it on the Kobo app, just to see how many pages it has there. Because in certain editions it is lower, but like really like 399 pages, you know, just to annoy me. But the edition that was on, for example, Kindle is the one that has, I don't want to buy it yet, right? Okay, I'm not. Details, is that where I get the page count? This is too much, 543, but I saw that there was there are a few other editions here. Actually, this one is way cheaper, so let's go and check out. It's the Italian edition. I'm not reading the Italian edition. This is another English edition. What page count? 416. This is the edition I want. So don't think you can actually see that, but I'm going to get American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. So outside of my comfort zone, because it's a thriller, I don't tend to read thrillers. This is one that has kind of intrigued me just because it's such a big part of like pop culture. I have actually never watched American Psycho, so if I'm going to be reading this one, I will definitely also be watching the movie. I have just pushed the buy button, so yeah, I still have to set up my payments on this Kobo thing. Now I'm wondering whether I should just wait to see the recommendations that people give me. Second guessing myself. All right, I'll wait for a little bit for it, but if like now I'll just mark it as like on my wish list or something like that. To like easily get access again to this specific edition. Okay, so it's on my wish list. If by the 1st of July I haven't come up with a better idea, then I'm reading this one. And actually, if by tomorrow I don't have a better idea, because I should read like the first 17 pages so that I have exactly 400 left for Gamenightathon itself. I don't think I'm gonna put too much attention on that throughout the rest of the readathon, but because of the fact that, you know, it's just 17 extra pages and it will be the first book that I start, I might as well try and get those 17 pages into June still, even though I also have quite a lot of reading that I still need to do in June for the amazing readathon. So it's not ideal for me to still push this into June, but yeah, you make your bed and you lie in it, I guess. So yeah, that is going to be my first read, most likely. That was cool. Hey guys, so I had planned to make this super productive weekend, but it is already 1 o'clock on Saturday and I've basically done nothing except for wake up, scroll social media, and then watch like 2 hours or so probably at this point in time, maybe even more, of like a playthrough of Elden Ring. So yeah, good start to the weekend. But so basically, I am still on my first book for Gamenightathon. I'm also definitely reading another book for Gamenightathon. I mean, I'm hoping to be able to count it for Gamenightathon, but I've only done the first roll. So what I think the plan is I'm gonna do the first roll now, no, the second roll now, to see if I can fit that book in, or just like what my next read would have to be for Gamenightathon, just so that I can go into the rest of this productive weekend by at least knowing what will be the next thing that I can count for it. I am, as I said, already quite a way through my first book, which is American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis, I think the name is. I think that was also the conclusion of my clip, that was going to be the book that I was going to go for. And I gotta say, I'm not having a good time with this. So this is a book that, I mean, I'm gonna explain it, but I assume most people kind of know what this is about. Basically, it's a guy working on Wall Street who secretly is actually like a serial killer and a really messed up human being. And so we have this combination of his sort of like posh, highbrow lifestyle and sort of like the elitism that comes with that world, and you know, like looking down upon other people because he's always like bumping into homeless people and like treating them like crap and stuff like that, in combination with then secretly being a serial killer who is like out there chopping up people and having like very rough sex with women as well. So it's just a combination of those things. There's a lot of name dropping for like brands, because you know, he has to be like the perfect look, and you know, he has to have everything on brands for, you know, his image or the image that he wants to portray, and then in combination with like these gruesome scenes. So I think like my impression with it is mainly that it just serves as a sort of like shock value, and I'm not necessarily seeing much more worth to this book than just, you know, like the newness of having a story like this, because you know, I assume that it's one of the earliest one that really has like a storyline that just like gruesomely portrays the inner workings of a character like this. But I'm not seeing much more to it, and as a consequence I also feel like, why are we reading like 400 pages of all of this, you know? So I am about 270 pages into this at the moment in time. If it weren't for the fact that I need this book in order to be able to cross off that star prompt in the first cluster that I'm tackling, I would have DNF'd this already, but I'm going to go through with it, because otherwise I need to find another book that is portrayed through the perspective of the villain, or you know, like an evil person, the bad guy, and I don't know whether I want to put myself through that. So I'm just going to stick with it. I switched to the audiobook for it so that at least I can like multitask and do other stuff with it. So today I think, as I said, I want this to be a productive day, so I'm gonna make also after this a list of things that I want to be doing this weekend, and both like pleasure and obligation. There are a few like administrative stuff that I need to be doing. I need to hand in some paperwork to the insurance. I need to respond to some emails, respond to a complaint I had about guys who like were supposed to show up and change my modem and then pretended like I wasn't home even though I was. Like these type of things I need to fit into this weekend, and then I need to do the grocery shopping, and I want to do some cleaning as well and stuff like that. But in terms of like the fun side of things, obviously I want to be reading, I want to be playing some Elden Ring, I want to be going back to practicing some on the ukulele, because I made that intention at the beginning of the year, bought that ukulele at the beginning of the year, and I only stuck with it for maybe like 1 week. So we need to get back to that, need to get a crack on that, and then I also need to be filming and editing. So yeah, we do still want to turn this weekend around, so I'm going to be making a list, and then I'm going to be using that and just like crossing off some of the obligation less fun tasks in order to unlock some of the fun you know, indulgent tasks, I guess. So yeah, let's get a crack on that, and let's get this weekend back on track. Alright, let's get a crack on. I hope you can correctly see this. So this is our board. Basically, yeah, thanks cats. That's the perfect help right there. Yeah, boats. Why don't you boat join me here? Filming with cats, always a pleasure. So basically you have to start off in the first column, so in column A. No, Buffy, not on that side. And so as I was starting with the black cluster, move out of the way please, with the black cluster, cat. And we have already done 200 pages. It means that this space and this space are done. And then the idea is, of course, to fill up these two spaces when I finish American Psycho. Meaning that for my next roll, I have to choose between yellow or white, because I can either do this cluster, that cluster, this cluster. Those are the 3 clusters that are available to me now. So let's get to see which dice roll I'm going to get. A 6. So a 6, if memory serves me well, that means that I have to choose between non-fiction for the yellows and LGBTQIA+. And this is perfect because the other book that I'm reading, The Oleander Sword, is a queer, so it's a sapphic romance. So cat, get out of the way. But that means that I can tackle, move, yes. This means that I can tackle part of this cluster because I had started it before the month started. I actually planned to read it fully in June. So I only have 200 pages in this book that I can count. So most likely what that means, most likely what that means that I'm going to do is I'm going to choose these two because that will give me access to this black cluster and to this yellow cluster. Whereas if I choose these two, it basically only gives me access to this one, and I already had access to this cluster. So we're going to choose to use these two spaces over here, and then with my next roll I'll be able to move along further on the board. But I actually think that I'm going to do another roll now because I'm already reading this and I'm planning to finish it still this weekend. So I might as well do my third roll to just see like what can I pick up after that. And so a 2, for that I would probably have to check the prompts because I think I have animals, randomized probably, and not sure for the white one. It is not a genre blend, or under 300 pages maybe? So yeah, I just went to check and it would indeed be animals for the black prompt. So a 600 page book that would fit for animals. Cat. Randomized to some extent would be interesting because I have like 3 clusters here that would work for that. So it would be a 200 page book, a 300 page book, or a 600 page book. And so it would probably give me quite some options to give multiple possibilities and still end up being able to count all of them for a potential cluster. And then the other one was under 300 pages, which to me is the least interesting one because that one would just be for this one because I only have access to one white space at this point in time, which is of course under 300 pages. So if I find something that's like just over 100 pages, that could work, but I don't really have anything on the TBR. There's nothing planned like that, so I don't think that I'm going to go for that option. So it'll probably be randomized unless I can find a 600 page book with animals, and I do actually have one. So Navola, I think, is the name of an arc that I have, but the one problem I have with that is that it's like such a wide cover that I would like ideally want to see if I can fit it into a white cluster at one point in time. And I'm actually also not entirely sure that it is 600 pages because 600 pages, actually thinking about it, I'm not entirely sure whether Labyrinth's Heart, for example, is even 600 pages. Blood Over Bright Haven probably is. I know that Will of the Many is, but that was not planned for this month. Yeah, we'll have to have a think. Shut up. Alright, so I had something stupid happen because I lost 3 clips because of the fact that I was accidentally filming in slow motion. And so whereas I can speed up the footage, the audio is no longer there, so I kind of have to refill you in because this was like the final 2 clips for this vlog originally, and so I'm gonna have to kind of combine them in one, but I don't actually even fully remember what I talked about in both of these. But so I think the conclusion for one of them was that I did my other roll, unless I said that in my previous clip, in which case then I'm cutting this section out. And for that I have put a poll up over on my Discord, and so I'm not going to be telling you guys the book that I'm choosing for that within this vlog. That will be explained within the next vlog. And then the other clip was basically me talking about what I still finished on Saturday. So on Saturday I was able to do most of the chores on my list. The only thing I didn't do was play the ukulele, and actually on Sunday now it also appears that that is not going to happen anymore because it's already 6 o'clock. Still have to cook, still have to do most of my reading, still have to do a lot of those chores because today has definitely been an Elden Ring heavy day. So yeah, yesterday I got all those chores done. I was super productive with those lists, but I also finished 2 books. So first of all, the first book that I needed, the first book for Gamenightathon, was a book outside of my comfort zone that was told from the POV of a villain. For that, as you know, I've chosen American Psycho. I have now finished American Psycho and I do not like it. I have wasted my time with this book because this book, I don't see the point of it. It is just portraying an evil guy who is really messed up, and you know, there's not much discussion about that. You know, it's just portraying this. It's not opening up the debate about, you know, what may have caused this, or you know, there's no added value to that. It's just the shock value, I feel like, and fair, but then it doesn't have to be like 400 pages of it, you know. So it's just like showing this highbrow guy at the top of his career in Wall Street, who also is going by like different names. So he has these multiple sort of like identities that people know him by, and he is basically like obsessed with his image. You know, he needs to be looking perfect all the time, and brand names are constantly being dropped because, you know, he needs to have the best of the best. And then that combines with like a severe looking down upon, especially the homeless, and the homeless are definitely also treated poorly by him, not just in the fact that, you know, he is constantly like you know, like abusing them by just like holding money out to them, but then not giving it to him. But there are definitely also cases in which he will end up killing these homeless people. But aside from just like that sort of side of it, there are a lot of portrayals of him killing the people around him, and not all of them are on page. A lot of it is also just like hearsay. You just like have somebody saying like, oh, that person was killed, the police is there, and then through his inner monologue you find out that he was that guy. And you know, these scenes are obviously very, very gruesome, and in principle I don't necessarily mind that if it were to be saying something more than just portraying how gruesome human beings could be. And like I've seen some comments of like one guy who was like, yeah, he was rebuffing the idea that this is a book that's like features a lot of misogyny, saying like, yeah, if you think that this book is misogynistic, then you haven't really properly read it. And to some extent I understand where he was getting from, because there are of course female and male victims of our protagonist, but I feel like the amount of violence that is committed towards women is disproportionate to the amount of violence to men. Because yes, he also absolutely butchers men and makes and like you know, tortures them and stuff like that. But with women there is the added element of rape and of just severe debasing sex. The debasing sex, if consensual, fine. And a lot of cases it is with prostitutes who is paying for that, who are signing up for that. But of course they're not signing up for anything beyond that. And sometimes it's just sex, but then a lot of times it is sex that then afterwards leads to torture and ultimately killing them. But so there's a lot of rape and violation happening with women, which he doesn't do with his male victims. And I feel like that's level, and the amount of times that this occurs within the book definitely leads it to being misogynistic. You know, he isn't treating the men like that, and you know, as a woman this was just really not lovely to read about, and it was just like, what the fuck. And there's so many creepy, ugly painful things being described that he does to women that just were like, okay, why am I reading this? And the only reason why I was actually still reading it was to get that star prompt. So in case somebody still needs to do the star prompt, do not go for American Psycho, because I do not recommend it at all. Second prompt that I had to fulfill was to read a book with queer representation within it, and I chose The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri, second book in the Burning Kingdom. I had already read some 250 pages in this, so I needed another 230 to finish it out. And I can already tell you that I will be DNFing this year, so unfortunately this first vlog for Gamenightathon is just going to be like disappointments and books I severely disliked. So this one is more in the disappointing range, and the disappointment isn't even like the fact that I was expecting the world out of this. The disappointment is the fact that I gave it an opportunity, because I did not really enjoy book one. So book one had too much of that sort of like female pining. So it's a queer relationship at the heart. We have a princess who was supposed to voluntarily burn, because this is another of those misogynistic worlds in which the religion kind of demands female sacrifice, and female sacrifice creates this sort of like endless fire that can then be harnessed to, you know, control the empire. And so our protagonist did not want to burn, and so she's now like in isolation in a temple somewhere, where she meets this woman who's supposed to take care of her, Priya, who is then on her end somebody who is hiding some mysterious circumstances in her past, and there's a love relationship between the two of them developing. And I really love the world building behind all of this. I loved the sort of like intrigue, the different sort of like cultural aspects to it, the magic, all of that I loved a lot, but I didn't like this romance. But the way the first book ended made me think like the romance wasn't going to be as central in book two, and unfortunately that was incorrect. Like it starts off great, but then very soon it sees like a plot twist that kind of undoes the direction I would have liked to see the second book go in. And so there's still a lot of that at its focus. Aside from that, it's just like a very tragic romance. You know, nothing ever goes right, or if it goes right for like 5 seconds, but not even. It always feels like very tragic, very dramatic as well. There's some power imbalances there, and then there's like this sort of phrase of like, in order to kind of indicate that, you know, she can always bring her down to the same level, like, but you're free to try and destroy me. It's like all so dramatic, like, you know, it doesn't seem like a healthy relationship at all. And so everything here in this book, in this series, is dramatic, they're tragic, there doesn't seem to be any like highlight hopes or anything like that. It's always going wrong, which makes for a very unsatisfactory read, I feel like. And I also feel like structurally there's an issue with it, because there are maybe 4 perspectives of which we read a ton of throughout the book, but then there are these other perspectives that are kind of put in there occasionally, and some that are just in there for like a chapter, and the only reason why they're in there is so that you can see something happening from that perspective. Whereas I feel like I then prefer to kind of hear about it in one of our main perspectives. We don't have to see it happen if that means that you're just going to place like a chapter from the perspective of somebody we don't know, we don't care about. And this happens quite frequently within this book, so that definitely is something that I don't necessarily enjoy all that much. So yeah, this one is another disappointment, so I'm not going to continue on with the series, because both books have been mediocre to not that great for me. So personally, I'm going to be putting that one down. Yeah, and that is my reading for the first 6 days of Gamenightathon. I'm going to be ending the vlog here, because that way I can just start off with new books in the next vlog. And so rather than just like starting something new for today and then just like having the vlog cut up in a unfortunate point, this way we can just have a clean start for the next vlog. So hope you guys are enjoying Gamenightathon. Definitely let me know how your first week has gone, and see you guys for the next video. Bye!